Life can get stressful at times, but sometimes the stress that you're dealing with, it can be overwhelming.
Absolutely. And that's why we need to calm the mind and restore the soul.
And this is Chick to Chick. As we were just talking about, life is stressful, right?
It sure is.
Life is stressful, and every day there's some stress. And there are days that I feel like, I'm on the gerbil on that treadmill, just running and running and running and running to get through the day.
Yeah.
That's normal stress, but sometimes the stress can be insurmountable, and it can become overwhelming when certain other things happen in your life, whether it's a medical situation or a job situation, or you're dealing with some sort of difficulty with your kids. You can feel overwhelmed, and I know that happened to you. You had a tough year in 2022. There was a lot going on with you.
And I was the nursemaid to everyone. I was taking care of people, and I just kept going. And I got to a point where I was like, is this ever going to end? Like, what more is going to go on? What more is going to happen?
Well, the favorite thing you would say to me, you'd go, am I being punked?
Yeah,
am
seriously.
I being punked? I can't.
Am I being punked right now?
I lost track.
That's the creature going to come around the corner. I did. I really did. And, I had a choice to make. It was either, buy more wine, which I really don't drink a lot. I just don't. So go buy wine, go get a pharmaceutical. And I'm not joking about that. I really do mean something that would quiet the vibration in my body, or contact someone who I knew, and I know her, she's a friend, but I knew could probably really help me in a really meaningful, impactful way, and that was through meditation. So we thought we would have Katie Krevsky on our podcast today. She's a certified meditation teacher, and she brings the calm to your mind. Thank you for coming on the podcast today, Katie.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
Katie, you've been doing this for a long time. How did you get into this?
I personally have been meditating for about 20 years. With the birth of my daughter, Abby, that's when I began meditating. She has Down syndrome, and she was born, and I was just sort of thrown for a loop. I just didn't know what to do as far as being a new mother, and then having this child in my life who then I had to care for in a real meaningful way. I had a little bit of depression, a lot of anxiety and worry about the future. So just really found that I was not living in the present moment. And it was my sister that gifted to me a series of meditation tapes. And I began my meditation journey 20 years ago. Wanted to avoid, sort of, like you said, Carrie, going the pharmaceutical route. I did see some therapists at that time, but again, just found that meditation was the place that I could really find the peace and calm that I was looking for.
Katie, I shared with you, like Flora knows, that my family had gone through a lot of health issues, and I was directly related to helping out, and it took a toll on me. And so the reason I had reached out to you is because I knew that you had this propensity for being able to provide someone with a toolbox that had ways to calm. And what I thought was really interesting about how you approached it was you asked me, how do you want to approach this? And you gave me a lot of different ideas, and then you implemented them with me. So, walk me through the steps, or walk us through the steps that you took me through, because I don't think people really understand that there are a lot of different ways that you can meditate. And, I would share with you when I would meditate which one I connected with best. I think that's so important for people to understand.
Yeah, I mean, your meditation practice is a deeply personal experience, and you want it to be something that you enjoy doing so that you do go back to it daily, because a daily practice is what's going to keep sort of that swirl of life coming at you in a little more slow motion. So what I do when I am meditating with a client individually is just really find out exactly how they want to feel when they're finished meditating, whether they're holding stress maybe physically in their body, or they find that their mind is racing, or they're constantly projecting into the future with worry and fear and anxiety. So I just sort of have that conversation. And then there are so many styles of meditating that there is something for everyone. You just have to experience it and do a little exploration to find out what works for you.
So I'm interested to hear that, because I've never done this before. I have had moments in my life when I was like so overwhelmed. I mean, I think I even had a bit of postpartum. I really do. And looking back on it, what are the different styles of meditation? I wasn't aware of that.
Oh, sure. Anything from simply watching your breath, watching yourself breathing. I mean, if you think about it, your breath is the present moment, and we take our breath for granted. I mean, you probably haven't thought about a single breath you took today yet. So just simply sitting down to watch your breath is one of the most popular ways. I'd say probably the most popular way for American meditators. There's something called mantra meditation, where you bring your awareness to a positive word or phrase. That one I like to recommend for people that have that repetitive worrying thought. There's body scan meditations. There's chanting meditations. There's meditations with your eyes open, where you're focused, let's say, on a candle flame or something along those lines. And what I teach mostly here in the area is guided meditation. So that's where you would be simply listening to a recording or live with a meditation teacher, just being walked through either something very visual using the mind's eye, or even something where you're intention setting, or practicing gratitude or loving kindness. I mean, there really is just an unlimited amount of styles of meditation.
So the body scan is one of the ones that I did. And I did another one, I guess, Katie, it was when I was focusing on my breath. And I was explaining to you that I all of a sudden found myself like floating in a lake. So now I had like a scenery with my peace and calm. But the body scan was amazing. Yeah. She took me from the top of my head to my toes to be able to feel things. And I didn't think that I could actually disconnect from my thoughts, which you're probably thinking the same thing. I mean, if there is an actual
she
plug.
She likes to talk a lot, Katie.
If there was an actual plug that I could unplug Flora's thoughts, when she's trying to just be calm and think, I would physically unplug it. So it is hard to do, but that was one of the ones that I thought was amazing. The other thing that you incorporated into it that I really enjoyed was scent and anything else that's tactile. So I had crystals. And I had one that was really soft. It's like a real soft rock. And I had another one that had a little more of texture to it. And so we incorporated those two things also into the meditation, which I found were really helpful.
Oh, yes. And again, it just goes back to trying to make the practice a habit or to become a ritual in your life. So anything that, you enjoy, as far as having a candle burning when you're meditating, sitting in your comfy chair. Meditation doesn't have to be a very strict or stressful situation, if to use that term. It's a very gentle practice. And one of the things I wanted to mention in regard to what you were saying about Flora, many people think that when you go into a meditation, you are turning off all the thoughts, but that's not the case. The meditation is a practice of always returning to your point of focus. I mean, our brain does not have an on and off switch. We have about 70,000 thoughts a day. So it's just about pattern interrupt, going from maybe worry, doubt, fear to a place of stillness and peace inside, and quieting the fluctuations of the mind, not necessarily turning off all the thoughts.
Well, you said 70 thoughts a day. I think I have maybe 100 to 150,000 thoughts a day.
I was going to say 80,000 words.
I mean, it really
70,000 thoughts a day.
So what you're saying, too, is the meditation isn't just good for somebody who's in a stressful situation, who was is overwhelmed like you were last year, but it's also maybe for me too, because my brain doesn't stop. Like today I'm thinking about tomorrow I'm thinking about next week, I'm thinking about next month. And I will often say to you, oh, I'm on to tomorrow. Like,
that's why I want the plug.
I wish it did come with an on-off switch. And so that's a really interesting thing to do too, because I never really thought about that. It's a way to control your thoughts too. And as Carrie pointed out, a lot of people might turn to alcohol, or, I might get in a situation and somebody says to me, oh, why don't you go to the doctor and get a prescription? For me, I feel like those things are Band-Aids sometimes. And I would rather change the behavior than just put a Band-Aid on it. Right. Is that something that you would say to your clients or to people that you're working with as well?
For sure. Sticking with a regular meditation practice, the benefits, expand beyond the moment of the meditation. It really does impact the rest of your day, the rest of your life. You can begin to just sort of see life coming at you a little more slow motion, instead of maybe, reacting to something that's come up in your life that's stressful. It's more like a response. You sort of have time to, examine the situation before either going to a place of anger or a place of fear.
So that brings us to asking you if you would walk us through a 1-minute meditation.
I'm ready. I'm rolling up the sleeves. I'm ready.
Okay. Well, just remember, this is going to be gentle and easy. So we'll begin the meditation just by gently closing the eyes and bringing our awareness to our breath. So together, let's take a long, slow, deep breath in, really filling up the lungs. And exhale long and slow, seeing if you can let your shoulders drop back and down, letting the muscles of the face relax. And keep your awareness on your breath as you're breathing in and out in your own natural rhythm and pace. Perhaps noticing as your chest rises and falls with the breath. Perhaps noticing as you feel the air enter the body at the point of the nostrils. Just feeling this ebb and flow. And now together, another long, slow, deep breath. Deep breath in, really filling the lungs. And exhale, maybe open mouth, audible sigh, letting everything go before you just gently, in your own time, blink the eyes back open.
I'm ready for a nap.
Yeah. See, it's just 1 minute.
Yeah.
Don't you feel better?
Yeah. Katie, if someone wants to reach out to you, how can they get in touch with you?
Sure. I have a website, which is meditationwithkatie.com, that has all of my classes that are happening in town. I'm on social media as well. If they're looking into Facebook or Instagram, just look up Meditation with Katie.
Thank you so much, Katie. I appreciate you being with us today.
You're welcome.
You can also Zoom with her for anybody who doesn't, they're not around her. And I Zoomed with her, and you really can, because I was in a really comfy chair and all my things. And didn't that feel good? Didn't that 1 minute feel good?
Yeah. The other thing too, when I get into these situations where I'm overwhelmed, I sometimes just stop and go, you know what? It's just happening right now, and this too shall pass.
Very true.
Just try to remember that.
Well, we thank you so much for being with us as we kick off such a great time to have some nice and calm for whatever the remainder of your day is. And we hope that you will tune in to our Chick to Chick YouTube page. Just like and subscribe. And until we are back to chirp about another topic.